Hey everyone. Uh, First things first, before I move forward, I want to apologize that I did not do this episode sooner. Reason is because this past week I wasn't feeling too well. I had a nasty ear infection that was killing me. It was even the medications were kind of clouding my judgment, things that I was supposed to do, keeping track. But I'm getting a little better right now. But at this moment, I really want to do what I already have. There was no wrestling events on a Saturday, but I'm going to review what we had on a Friday instead. As I call it, Friday Wrestling. It contains mostly from the go home show of AEW Dynamite before we go to this Sunday's Double or Nothing. And of course, we have 205 Live and New Japan Strong for their final collision 2021 episode. So, let's get started right now.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host, Jay, right here. So let's begin with the final Dynamite episode. Before we go to Double or Nothing, it started out with Darby Allin along with Sting to take on Caesar Bononi, who's accompanied by his wingmen. The match was pretty dope because we always seen Darby always fights the bigger opponent, especially if his guys like Caesar Bononi. But of course, he had a brutal match the the prior 2 weeks ago against Miro, but he was unsuccessful to retain his TNT title. But it was a good match, and I kind of was thinking sooner or later we're gonna see the wingmen try to spoil the fun, but luckily didn't do that. Darby was able to pull off the coffin drop and allowing himself to win the match. But however, it did not end there. He called out both Sky and Page because there's still a little bit, they still got some unfinished business with them. As soon as they were trying to do that, out of nowhere, the wingmen show up and attack them. And it was a 6-on-2 situation until the Dark Order decided to help them. So we don't know what's going on with that with the Sting and Dark Order, but however, we could see more affiliations with them, you know, like Tay Conti and Hangman. But we'll see where we go down the line. Now we jump into the weigh-in between Anthony Gogo and, of course, Cody Rhodes. Um, I kind of forgot and did not wrote down the weight, but apparently there was from my understanding, there's only a 1 pound away from each other. Basically, it like QT thinks 1 pound makes them better. Like, no, it doesn't. It's almost equal weight. But of course, you can tell there was going to be a melee between the Factory and the Nightmare family, but it did not go in that direction. And of course, Paul White was the host. Now, in the back, while this was happening, in the backstage area somewhere, Hobbs and Christian were still going at it. As you know, this was a feud that was bound to happen sooner or later. These two men are involved in the casino battle royale, but the real question does remain: will they be okay? Be 100%? I don't know. We know Team Taz is trying to prove a point. Trying to earn respect by beating up the people who. Not only that, Taz always has his issues with Christian, where he turned him down and he takes it personal. But we'll see where we're gonna go down the line on that one. We'll see this Double or Nothing. Next match is Hangman Page versus Joey Janela. I like to call it part 2 or part 3. I don't know how many times they faced off, but it was a good match. But the one thing that was like very surprising was Hangman was bleeding out in the back of his head or front face. It sounded like the first lot of blood, that's when you go crazy. Now, as soon as the match was over, Taz decided once again who thinks that Hangman's a punk, that he's gonna beat him up. But however, Hangman wasn't dumb. He knew what was happening. He even tried to show Brian Cage, do you really need your friends to beat me in a fair fight? So basically, Hangman kind of agreed with him. And I don't know how Team Taz would feel. But here's the thing. Team Taz always acts like they think they're the heroes in the whole story, but they beat up people who they stand in their way. That's not being a hero. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. Now, is Team Taz going to remain in the back? Who knows? Taz will do whatever it takes to ensure his team wins every match. Now, we received a video package from Moxley and Kingston where they were burying the Nike shoes that they took from the Young Bucks. But of course, they kind of had a very interesting thing where they talk about the past, that they agree they're not a stable tag team, but they always had each other's backs, that sort of thing, and that fits perfectly well to them in their ways. So, but they're pretty proud that they may get some gold. But we'll see what happens this coming Sunday for Double or Nothing. Now, as you know, we were expecting in the ring Orange Cassidy to give his response. As you know, there were Kenny Omega and Don Callis was attempting to have Orange Cassidy to off himself from away from the AEW World Title. But Pac, he feels like, who cares? So he tried to call out Kenny, but once again he was sneak attacked by Kenny and the Omega Kenny, and then here comes the Good Brothers, but the members of the Death Triangle show up, and then here comes Orange Cassidy try to give the contract, but he shredded it. Basically, Orange is not gonna blow off an opportunity for a chance of the world title. So good for him, and this is gonna be good. Now we do see an interview by Tony Schiavone and Jade. As you know, Jade has been the center of attention as a free agent, where many of other wrestling managers want to sign her, like Hardy, the what's his name, Vicky Guerrero. But however, Mark Sterling Esquire kind of made a very compelling point to Jade Cargill. Basically, he's not saying I don't want you to work for me, I'll work for you. So basically, Matt Hardy showed up trying to persuade her, but however, Mark Sterling gave her the better offer. Basically, he's saying, I don't need to take 30%. She only pays me if she wins. So basically, he outsmarted him. He's an attorney, for Christ's sakes. But her coming up, she set up an open challenge for this Dynamite episode, where the person who accepted the challenge, was none other than Kylan King. Now, this was like one of those match that you didn't think it would go easy, because they about equal height. But the real question is, who has much of the power grab on this one? But from the way it goes, it looked more like it was Jade Cargill who did it, and she pulled it off by finishing her off with the 1-2-3 count. Now we get to a championship match. The TNT titles on the line between Miro, our current champion, taking on Dante Martin. Now you can tell that Dante Martin did everything. He used his speed into his advantage, but however, it's not enough with a powerhouse like Miro. But you can guess that Miro finished him off with the camel clutch. But however, Roberts and Archer showed up, giving their peace of mind, saying that sooner or later his little fantasy is going to come to an end. But Miro's saying that, oh, you have him leashed like a dog. But don't ever say that, so Roberts told him, stick him, boy. So it was pretty interesting that they finally let them go, but we're going to see how these two behemoths are going to face off at Double or Nothing for the title. Now, as you know, AEW has the longest reigning women's champion, and we're talking about Hikaru Shida. I have to say, she has made a very impressive record was primary defending that title at a time where the world has changed during the pandemic, and she hold that title at least 377 days. So it should be 378 slash 379, since this film won't be uploaded till Sunday. It is Saturday. Um, but at the same time, they even gave her a brand new title, which is encrusted with gold and diamonds. I'm like, I like it. It looks more shinier than her. Of course, the party was kind of crashed by Britt Baker congratulating her, but of course, she's saying that once she wins, she will be the head of the division. So, but it was funny later on in the fan fest that they put out today. She kind of gave an acronym for the DMD. She called it Dirty Moron Dumbass. I thought that was pretty creative, but it could have been Dumb Moron Dumb or something like that. I don't know. I'm just filling around here. Now the final match of the night was Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page taking on Dark Order members Uno and Stu. It was a great match. I loved it. It was unbelievably good. Now I would have assumed that Dark Order would have had the bigger advantage, but however, it was Ethan and Page that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky that won the victory when Page applied the ego's edge onto Evil Uno to pick up the 1 to 3. But however, they cut a little promo, and here comes Sting, or should we call it the Sting Army? If you guys remember back in WCW, Sting did this before. Now, Darby was mostly occupied with Ethan Page, no, with Scorpio Sky, but when Ethan Page runs into Sting, it's over. So this is far. This we'll see what's going to happen at Double or Nothing between these two teams. This is going to be one heck of a match. Now the Dynamite ended with the celebration of the Inner Circle. As you know, this could be their last time they be together because, of course, the stipulation: if they lose to the Pinnacle, they must disband. Bischoff was there to introduce them, gave a little sweet video package, and of course, everybody thought about what they thought about being part of the Inner Circle. You know, they were everything else. But as soon as that happened, MJF called out the the Inner Circle. But later, you see they beat up Dean Malenko. They rushed to get him to the field down at the stadium, at the football stadium, but it was an ambush set up by MJF to take out the Inner Circle before they get to Stadium Stampede, because they're fully aware last year they lost this match against the Elite. So, what's it going to happen this coming Sunday? Will the Inner Circle defeat them, or will they officially be gone? Well, we just got to wait and see this coming Sunday, and I hope you guys are ready to do the watch. Okay, 205 Live was amazing. Not to mention, as much as I enjoy, is short, but they throw in some great talent in this one. I'm talking about some of the great wrestlers they recruited. The first match they have is Asher Hale taking on Aries Sterling. Oh my god, that match was unbelievably good. Reason I say this: Asher Hale has a bit of an MMA background, but also throwing a bit of the high flying. You look at Aries Sterling; he has that high flying technique. It's that great to watch because you don't know how this is going to be. These guys are the newest recruits to be part of the Purple brand, and I'm like, wow. I mean, look, as much as I like to see the OGs try to set up a point to the new guys, for once, I feel like this is what we needed. Just put that to the side and let these guys show us what they got. But it's great. Now, I didn't expect a whole lot watching this, but when I saw the results, early Sterling won, I'm like, wow, that was great. I see a great future for this guy, and I say that because before seeing him in 205 Live in WWE, I feel this is going to be one great thing to watch. So we'll just see what happens after that. So in the main event was the Bollywood Boys facing off my new favorite tag team in 205 Live, August Gray and Jiro. Awesome match. I love Jiro. I always say this to people. I like wrestlers who are unique with their styles. Like I say this about Orange Cassidy, unique wrestler. Jiro is no exception because he is unique. I mean, how many times you see people wrestle in a jacket? You got a guy who wears his hands in his pockets. Hmm? That's why unique wrestlers like them are unique. They bring in uh, great performances. But when it comes to, I have to say, seeing Gray and Jero become a tag team is the best time ever. Hopefully, we get to see them in NXT for the NXT tag team titles, which I'm really excited to see. But the way this match ended was seeing Ikemen Jiro did the slice kick right onto, I don't know which one of the Singh brothers, but he won the match with the 1, 2, 3, and it's over, boys. So it was fun watching. Can't wait to see more of them. Okay, the last thing I want to do before ending it, let's talk about New Japan Strong with Collision 2021. This was the final one because the main event was the Strong Openweight title. But let's go from start to finish. First match we have, of course, AJZ, who made his a fantastic debut a couple weeks ago against Rocky Romero. Came up short. This time he facing the recent graduate of the LA Dojo, Clark Connors. Awesome match. I have to say, Clark Connors is really impressing a lot of people. Not to mention, now we can see him do more things because, for those who don't know, if you're a young lion with the LA Dojo, you're not allowed to use a whole lot of moves. You're limited. Like for submission, you have to use the Boston Crab, that sort of thing. But it's okay. It helps to learn to master the technique, and then they have to learn to master their own. And that's what I like about Clark Connors. He's the most recent graduate, and I'm very happy that he can do more. And I was surprised with the spear because I think they call him the Rhino or something like that. It kind of fits to it, and that did help him win the match. Next match, we have Wheeler Yuta taking on the controversial El Fantasmo. You could have guessed that this was a challenging match because if you guys are fans of Wheeler Yuta, you know what he's capable of. He is that kind of guy that fits perfectly with the Ring of Honor pure wrestling. And that kind of, you know, you wouldn't expect that a whole lot, but especially when he faces a guy like El Fantasmo that you know for a fact this is going to be a interesting match because, however, once again, El Fantasmo super kicked them lights out. So Phantasma always wins with that kick that he claims that he practiced in the woods of Canada. I don't know if that's true, but I have to say the storyline is great on that. Now the main event was of course the strong openweight title between Chris Dickinson and Tom Lawler. This match was one for the ages because this one is kind of like they both have similar styles. You know, bit of the MMA background, grappling, all in one. I was like, wow, it's unbelievable. But of course, Lawler had his Team Filthy guys by his side, Limelight and Kratos. But you know, sooner or later they were going to pick up and try to help him win. But however, it did end it in that way. Lawler won the match, but it was great that, oh yeah, even Brody King showed up to give Dickinson a fighting chance because King has unfinished business with Kratos. But I kind of felt okay, maybe Tom Lawler should not drop the title just yet. But the real question is becoming since Lawler remain as the champion, who will be the one to challenge him next? So we'll see when that happens coming around. So I think that's pretty much it with New Japan Strong. Uh, I think that's it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the latest episode. Like I said, I apologize for not doing sooner. Get ready for another one, which is the next episode. Well, there'll be two episodes be released later on. One, we're going to be having a bit of a this talk about the recent news become developing about WWE's talks to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know there's been a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about it all over social media and this and that. So that's going to be on a separate episode. Now, I could put that in the DWZ discussions, but I feel this is something that needs to be on its own. And as for the next one, it's going to be Got to Move Pro Wrestling and, of course, Double or Nothing. I'm excited for those, but for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time in the same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.